Hello, School Transportation Nation. Welcome to the podcast. We're fresh off STN EXPO. Going to be talking all about it today with Mr. Ryan Gray. Before I get to that, this podcast is brought to you by TransFinder, the leader in school bus routing software. BYD Ride, committed to empowering education by providing safe, reliable, and clean transportation to our communities. And School Radio, your source for reliable radio communications. Also, be hearing from Innovator of the Year 2023, STN's cover guy, Mr. Bill Griffiths, the Senior VP of Fleet Management and Maintenance at Beacon Mobility. Before we get into the headlines, got a message from School Radio. Hey guys, is reliable radio and communications important to you? Got a message from School Radio. The laws against using cell phones while operating commercial vehicles are in place for the safety and security of both your school bus drivers and your students. Taking that risk comes with a hefty fine, penalties, and even the disqualification of the CDL of the driver. School Radio specializes in providing wide area push-to-talk, two-way radio solutions for schools and school transportation that are fully compliant with all hands-free operational laws. They offer a managed service program, which includes the device, all services, all maintenance at a fixed monthly budget point. No expense infrastructure or FCC license is required. Get a demo today by visiting school-radio.com. That's school-radio.com. All right, we're back. Ryan, man, it was a whirlwind of action there at STN EXPO in Reno. A lot to take in, a lot of conversations. I guess maybe let's just start from the beginning of the show. We dove in, we started with our Transportation Directors Summit, had record attendance at the show this year, amazing conversations. I kind of kicked it off. We always use survey data to really identify what are the top challenges that are facing transportation directors today and kind of open it up for really open forum discussion. And there are no shortages of issues that transportation ops have. And we know school startup is coming up really soon, diving in. I know, Ryan, you were tackling more of the maintenance side for our inspector training. You want to talk a little more about the inspector training and what happened there this year?
Absolutely. So, like you said, Tony, a great week out in Reno, really validating all the hard work that our team puts into it to see, like you mentioned, those record numbers of attendees and exhibitors. It was a sight to behold. But regarding that inspection training, so this was the second go round when we introduced our hands-on portion. So it's now a 2-day training. We rolled that out in Indianapolis in June. And then followed up here with our visit out to Washoe County School District. So we had our classroom on Friday, July 14th. That was taught by Bobby Williams. He's the Assistant Director of Fleet Services for Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District in Houston, joined by his counterpart in Humble ISD, Ariel Rodriguez, who some of you might remember the name. Ariel was one of our rising stars back in 2019. Wrote the article with him. He actually coaches boxing. His son and his daughter, at least at the time, his daughter was really heavily involved. He was telling me actually that after the pandemic, she's kind of become more interested in shopping and clothes. But they were there, two former America's Best competitors and winners of the Texas School Bus Mechanics competition as well. They were joined by Alan Fiddler of Metropolitan School District of Lawrence Township in Indianapolis, another America's Best winner. Alan, of course, was with us out as an attendee when we were at STN EXPO Indianapolis. They were our instructors. Like I said, they had a full day class where they went through and they teach a manual. And this is all geared, Tony, to surpassing the state and federal DOT inspection regulations and guidelines. So it's really targeting, school bus uptime, keeping those school buses from breaking down on the side of the road. I know, in a little bit later, you're going to be having a conversation with Bill Griffiths, and he's going to be discussing that as well. And Bill, he's becoming more involved with us on this training. training. But in Reno, we had a chance on Saturday then to follow up that's classroom education with getting hands-on work with school buses, courtesy of our friends at Washoe County School District. So we went out to their ghetto transportation center in Sparks, spent the day out there. Boy, it was a hot one, Tony, but it's a dry heat, as they say in the desert. So the guys from Houston and Indianapolis, especially, they're used to some humidity, so that was a welcome change for them. But all in all, a great time. We had 64 attendees. We were oversubscribed. The class was really built for 50, 55 people. So we had 64. So right now, the team and I are we're adding instructors every day. We're honing the training. We're going to have some really great stuff in store as we roll into 2024 for everybody. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I know we're talking about building out a little more maintenance-focused tracks in the main agenda, so gives you maintenance professionals a little more reason to stick around longer and take advantage of the full breadth of content that STN EXPO has to offer. So that's great. And I know we also had the NHTSA course, Ryan, which was just redone, right? Brand new content. I know people think, oh, I've done NHTSA. Well, there's this brand new, right? So everybody's kind of got to get back in there and recertify under the new program, correct?
Absolutely. So, that was held Saturday at the hotel. We're going to have that coming up at TSD in November as well. So this was the second opportunity that folks in the industry have had, at least on the national level, to take this revised curriculum from, basically certified by NHTSA, really, underwritten by the National Safety Council. We had an article in the magazine last summer that was talking about this rollout. And as you said, it's revised. They've added a whole bunch of elements to it, not only just updating it from a standpoint, I think it had been 8 years since the last revision, but there's all this addressing, where we are here in 2023, the new age of the digital format. So there's videos that you can get, but you need to sign up. You need to register. You need to do that hands-on portion. But then you can get individual chapters on DVD, and it shows you how to do this so that you can actually train this at your own shop. So now this course has been starting to be taught at some state associations, namely I know West Virginia did this a little bit earlier this summer. But it's a great opportunity. Again, we're doing this for the children. We need to make sure that we're securing them properly in child safety restraint systems. In fact, this came to light just last week, the importance of this. A school bus monitor in New Jersey is facing manslaughter charges. A 6-year-old girl with special needs died earlier this month on a school bus. Apparently the seatbelt or the child safety restraint became wrapped around her neck. So we have an article on that on stnonline.com as well. And those are just the tragedies that we're trying to avoid. I mean, you look back into the early 90s with the famous Sue Savage case. A lot of student transporters, especially those with servicing children with disabilities, will remember that case as well. Another high-profile case of a student who died because they choked on the CSRS. It wasn't properly installed. So this just shows the importance of this very much needed training.
Yeah, I know we also had a couple of wheelchair securement tie-down trainings as well, one hosted by AMF Bruns, their boot camp, as well as another one by Sherlock Q-Strain, which those were as well oversubscribed. We were adding people and more people, so there's clearly an appetite for special needs training. And we're excited to kind of offer that. And I know kind of going through day 2 at the Transportation Director Summit, keynote speaker Tracy Brown did a deep dive of her keynote, Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. Really interesting stuff. Very different than the normal kind of operational keynote, but reading body language. I know Tracy was on the podcast previously, so guys can always go back and listen to her interview, podcast 165. Great combo on body language and facial expression. And she used a lot of different characters like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. She had one on Lee Harvey Oswald. It was definitely some very interesting footage to look at those people's facial expressions on the words that are coming out of their mouth, not necessarily matching their face. So really interesting how it describes, seeing things in plain sight, but also seeing how people use words in certain ways. So it makes you more acute and aware of others and how you're communicating yourself, as well as how others communicate with you. So very interesting topic. And then also the directors, they're all talking with vendor partners about challenges and solutions. And that is always very popular, to talk with your peer group about everything that you're facing. So Transportation Director Summit in Lake Tahoe, it was beautiful. The backdrop was great. Couldn't beat it. So really great. We came back to a great welcome party hosted by Tyler Technologies and Geotab. Fabulous time getting everybody together and network. Couldn't beat that. And then came back the next day, and Green Bus Summit kicked off, Ryan, and we had a great electrification panel. I know you put that together. You want to talk a little bit about that panel at Green Bus Summit?
Sure. It was moderated by Ewan Pritchard of Energetics. He is also an engineering consultant at large. Some people might remember him from back in the hybrid electric school bus days of the early and mid 2000s, late 2000s, not aughts as well, as we call them. So he was on hand. We had a panel of 4. We had Alex Cook, of course, Chief Engineer of First Student. So he was our Innovator of the Year in 2022. Of course, we have this year's winner on a little bit later, Bill Griffiths from Beacon Mobility. Alex was joined by Tim Zierle, who's the Associate Superintendent for Modesto City Schools. We've done articles on their operation and on their electrification projects there. At the STN EXPO Reno 2022, we had a session kind of on project management for an electrification project and focusing on the experience that Modesto has as it's been ramping up. We also had Kim Crabtree, who is the Director of Transportation for Bend Lapine in Oregon. That's a smaller school district, very, very mountainous ski resort town. So looking at the challenges that they're having, as they only have 2 buses so far. Also getting the perspective of Karim Johnson, who's the Director of Transportation for Bethlehem Central School District in Albany, New York. One of the first electric fleets in the state. Of course, they're staring down that state mandate that all school buses in the state somehow, some way must be zero emissions by 2035. They're only going to be able to purchase electric school buses starting in 2027. So he definitely has a unique perspective. A really engaging talk to launch the Green Bus Summit and really ground folks as they prepare to hear from the different companies, talking with their clients and looking at their individual projects and kind of emerging technology to really, lay the baseline for the challenges around specifically infrastructure. That was really what the talk focused on a lot. Some really great experiences shared. Really got the attendees in the mindset of, how are we going to problem solve, whether we have some electric school buses now, or we're looking to do this, because most folks, let's face it, they're falling in the latter camp, right? There's only, about 1,200 and change electric school buses confirmed on the road. When you look at what's in the pipeline, it's closer to 6,000. But again, we're coming off some pretty crazy supply chain shortages that are still impacting manufacturing. So definitely, we're still ramping up, and we're in the early pioneer days. So right now, as important as ever to share information, share experiences, and one of those experiences has been, get started early, engage your utilities, work with them so closely that they become your best friend. Stuff we've been talking about, Tony, for months now. It feels like years, and writing about in the magazine. So, just really doubling down on that message. So that went all day long, great conversations. And then we all came back for the evening event, really kicked off with our Green Bus Summit Fleet Awards. So recognized 4 districts and 2 contractors. So special congratulations go out to Upper Moreland School District in Pennsylvania and their propane fleet. They won the best under 50 in rural category. Then there's DeKalb Central Unified School District in Indiana. They won the small public fleet category, 50 to 100 buses, another propane operation where they're basically, I believe they're all but 2 of their 73 buses are propane. And then at the medium public category, 101 buses to 249. That was Township High School District 211 in Illinois, another propane user. Large public was won by Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland for the 250 plus category. They have the largest emerging electric bus fleet there in Montgomery, Maryland. And then private fleets, local, regional, went to Suffolk Transportation Service in New York. They have the most experience with and the most electric school buses in the state of New York. They're out there on Long Island. And the Private Fleet National Award went to First Student, of course, largest in the nation, largest in North America. And they are ramping up to have about 30,000 electric school buses here in the next several years. So they are really pushing it. They have about 50,000 school buses now. I know they have a couple of acquisitions that they just finalized on. So boy, they're really leading the way. So congratulations to all 6 of those organizations. It was great to meet some of them. I had not met all of them previously. And then we went outside, Tony, to the Ride and Drive.
Yeah, it was really great, Ryan. Our partners out at the Ride and Drive were able to display propane and electric technology. So the attendees came out in droves. Tons of people had great experiences. I know we caught up with some attendees throughout the event, and we're going to let you guys hear what they have to say. Before we jump into that, we got a message from TransFinder. Guys, have you ever seen a car commercial? They're always saying that the new model is sportier, faster, better. Well, the folks at TransFinder say that's the way to look at their new and improved Service Finder solution. It has the same name, but everything about the new Service Finder is better, faster, sleeker, more intuitive. Service Finder is the next generation of fleet and asset management software. It's browser-based and will make your fleet productive and cost-effective. Service Finder reduces burdensome paperwork, tracks your costs, and will help keep you from missing critical repairs. Let's face it, buses aren't cheap. You need to keep them running efficiently and lasting longer to get the most out of your investment. To learn more about Service Finder, visit transfinder.com or email them at marketing@transfinder.com or give them a call at 800-373-3609. That's 800-373-3609.
Hi, my name is Brittany Hill. I am from Eagle, Colorado with the Eagle County School District. I've been with transportation for about 11 years. In Eagle, Colorado, going on 5 years. This is my second STN, and I gotta say, I love the atmosphere. I love the people. Everybody's so welcoming and friendly. The classes are very, very inspirational. You have a lot of good information, a lot of good speakers that give you a lot of things to take back and hopefully build your team and keep your transportation team going. And it's just amazing. I love everything about it. I feel like everybody knows me a lot this year, and it's only my second one. So I look forward to coming back for years to come.
All right, I am Tonya Baker, all the way from Arkansas, and my hometown is called Jetsonia, but I work in a town called Kensett. I love my job, been there for 10 years. I've learned a lot here that I can take back with me from the classes, from the trade show, and I enjoy it, and I hope to get to come back. But one thing that has shocked everybody is the youngest kid on my bus is 7 weeks old, and my oldest is 5.
My name is Kim Pichetti. I'm from Pyramid Lake Junior Senior High School in Nixon, Nevada. This is probably my 10th plus year coming to the STN conference, and I always come back because I like the information I get, and I can always change my cameras out on buses or They just give you a lot of good information, and I enjoy it, and they always have plenty for us to do, and the sessions are always wonderful. I always go back with a lot of knowledge to pass on to everybody.
My name's Austin Metz from Pyramid Lake Junior Senior High School in Nixon, Nevada. And it's really been great to see a lot of the new tech and the exciting new innovations that we can see coming to the school transportation industry.
Greg Jackson, Director of Business Development for School Bus Logistics. Before this 4 months, I was the Executive Director of Transportation and Fleet Services for Jeffco Public Schools. Now being on the vendor side of things, I was good to see a different experience than I would if I was on the other side. So right now, it's just been great. I can tell you right now, seeing both sides of actual STN is a great experience for both sides. One, as a director, it's good to come here and you have a great experience of the Director Summit. You have a great experience to go and see sessions and see a lot of networking with colleagues. And then you come on this side of the network being a vendor. And so we travel together. We go to a lot of different trade shows together over the summer. And then you meet these folks and you get to see them here and meet up and have a great time and reconnect. So great experience as STN. Love to come here every year. I'm now looking forward to be here every year as a vendor. So I'm excited.
Hi, my name is Savannah Urban. I am the Chief Solutions Consultant with Urban Recruiting and Consulting. I came here with School Bus Logistics as a speaker in the panel about recruitment and culture, hiring bus drivers and retaining them. Had a wonderful time speaking with all of our attendees. The most special portion of being here at STN is the community. It's our first time, and it's been very eye-opening to see the community of vendors and school districts that advocate for each other, and it's been a pleasure.
My name's Katie Daniello. I'm the staff secretary from the transportation department at Fremont Unified School District in Fremont, California. My experience so far at this event, just the sessions and everything, very informative, met a lot of people, good networking opportunities. Got a lot of questions answered about programs we're using and we're thinking about moving to. And it's just overall been a really good experience. It's been a good learning experience. And to you.
Hello, my name is Beatriz Figueroa, and I'm from Fremont Unified School District as well. And I'm the Special Education Transportation Coordinator there, or also known as the Office Assistant 3. And so far, it's been a lovely experience. We've been here from beginning. We'll be here to end. So that was great. We got to meet a lot of vendors. We were attending very informational sessions, especially the one that stuck out to me was how to de-escalate and such. That was a great one here. And getting to know the actual people that we work with too was great instead of, just emailing. So that was great, networking with everybody here and getting to know people from all over and networking and connecting with everybody.
Yeah, putting a face to a name. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Jerry Levy. I am the school bus instructor at Fremont Unified School District in Fremont, California. This has been about my third or fourth time here at STN now, and I would say by far this one has been the best. There's a lot more people around, more vendors, with the electric bus coming in to the industry, there's a lot more competition out there, and it's just great to see the new trend to the future that's coming. Love networking, got to know a few more other people added to my list. So I would definitely come again. And yeah, if you haven't came out here, it's time to come out here. Do it. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nancy Koski. I'm from the Lake Stevens School District in beautiful Western Washington. I am here at STN. I originally came here quite a few years ago. Unfortunately, with COVID, it's been a while. This is my second year back, and I can't say enough great stuff about STN and the show they put on. Fabulous classes, a lot of things to keep you busy, and entertainment.
Hi, I'm Belle Trump, Director of Transportation, Snoqualmie Valley School District in Western Washington as well. This is my second STN here in Reno, and I've had the opportunity to meet some phenomenal people that I wouldn't have without the opportunity of STN bringing us together. And the trade show is amazing, not like anything else I've ever seen. The resources you can get and the information you can gather, this is the opportunity that we just thank STN for. It's just been amazing.
I'm Clint Breyer with Safety Vision, Director of Sales for the Student Transportation Division. We're here at the 30th STN EXPO Reno, which we're also celebrating Safety Vision's 30th anniversary. So this partnership has gone on for a long time. It's been exciting to watch both organizations grow together. I don't think Safety Vision would have grown and have as many clients throughout North America without this conference. This is a great place to build relationships and meet new people, continue to network, and exhibit your product. We're very thankful for the partnership through all the digital marketing, anything on the website, the podcast, the magazine, and just the help from the STN staff to make everything run very smoothly for their exhibitors. This is a great show. If you're an exhibitor and you've never been here, you definitely got to get out here. This is the best show in school bus transportation. This is one we always make sure we block off on our calendar. It's been a great celebration for us. We've had a great time getting to meet everybody. We're very thankful, and we'll be here for the next 30 years.
All right, we're back. Really great, feedback from attendees, suppliers, just so much good stuff, Ryan. I mean, we could talk forever about the conference, but you guys can read all about it too. Go to stnexpo.com. If you search STN Expo, it will come up. You go to our event news, it's there. It's in the latest news. It's everywhere. So we have mountains of content for you to enjoy and learn more about everything that we did. Photo galleries. There's daily video recaps, which I watched again, and I was like, man, these are great. Really gives you a sense of the event. Really gives you a flavor for what a great time it was. So much networking, so much learning. Really, those are the foundational pillars that I said from the beginning of the conference: content, community, commerce. And that's what we stand for at STN Expo. And we're really excited to present that. And we're really excited that so many people had a wonderful time and just got so much out of the conference, Ryan.
Absolutely. And like I was saying at the top, really reinvigorating for us. So much work goes into all these events. And it's great to see them actually everything come to fruition, everything happen live, and seeing the reaction. That's always what makes it for me. So already armed with tons of ideas for next year. Of course, I mentioned earlier, we also have TSD coming up in just a matter of about 4 months, a little under 4 months, Tony. So we're getting hot and heavy with that. Starting to get some information pulled together. So check out tsdconference.com. We're going to be updating that agenda here in the coming weeks. So stay tuned.
All right. Before I get to my interview with Bill Griffiths, we have a message from BYD Ride. Hey guys, BYD Ride's battery electric school buses, the Achiever and Dreamer, proved to be extremely popular at STN Expo in Reno this year. The innovations offered by BYD school buses will set the industry standard on safety, reliability, and technology. They would love to share how industry's collective commitment to reducing carbon emissions will make a tangible difference in our communities and set an inspiring example to others to follow. They invite you to take the next step with them to green your fleet. Email them at info.na@byd.com to learn more about the EPA Clean School Bus Program and how they can help empower education together with you. Hey, School Transportation Nation, excited to bring to the podcast the STN Innovator of the Year for 2023, Mr. Bill Griffiths, the Senior Director of Fleet and Maintenance at Beacon Mobility. Bill, welcome. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, Tony. Glad to be here. You're killing me with all the pictures, man. I'm telling you, I feel like all week I've been getting text messages from people in Reno, people at NSTA, taking selfies next to either a billboard cutout or the magazine and send it to me. So really appreciate that.
That's all right. We love recognizing great people, and I'm glad that you're feeling the love from the industry, Bill. Definitely feeling the love. And Mr. Ryan Gray, our editor-in-chief, he had an outstanding headline on the front of the magazine. It said "Guiding Light," and I loved the way that was put. Obviously, with Beacon Mobility having that kind of combination there, I felt like, wow, that's really cool to be able to be a guiding light within your operation and really be leading the charge as Beacon Mobility is growing so fast, right? Can you give the audience that isn't familiar with who Beacon Mobility is a little bit of background on that?
Sure. So Beacon Mobility, we're relatively new. We've been around for just about 3 years now. We are primarily a student transportation, special education provider. We also do paratransit, and we have a small segment of non-emergency medical transportation. We're currently in 24 states. And we operate just about 12,000 vehicles in that. It's been a pretty exciting ride. When I joined, we had 1,600 vehicles, Tony. And like I said, now we've just got a little over 12,000.
And what kind of time horizon was that growth, Bill?
That's like literally over the last 3 years, Tony. It's been incredible.
All right, so you're drinking from the fire hose, going from 1,600 to 12,000. You kind of got to like take a pause when you hear that big of a number shift. Coming from, reading the article, and if you guys haven't seen the article, go to stnonline.com, check out our July issue, find the story on Innovator of the Year. Great story on what Bill and his team are doing there at Beacon. But kind of to dive a little deeper on that, how did you really kind of wrap your hands around a preventative maintenance program, looking into fleet of that size? Obviously, you're onboarding a ton of people, having to deal with technology evolving, injecting fleets, because you're acquiring fleets. So, these aren't purpose-built things that are already in your system. You're getting a bit of a hodgepodge of equipment, and you're having to kind of deal with it, right? Can you unpack that a little bit? I know it's a big question, but try to unpack that a little bit for me.
A lot of the companies that are now part of the Beacon family had well-established maintenance programs, right? So it wasn't like we were going in and nobody was changing oil. Now we had purchase companies that were maybe managing their fleet on an Excel spreadsheet or a whiteboard, and some had systems. So for the first part is we realized as we acquired and brought people into the family, we said, okay, look, we want to build a standardized maintenance program. So we got all the best heads of maintenance in the same room, and we said, all right, together, what does good look like for us? What are the intervals that work? What are the requirements in our applicable states? What do we need to be to compliant? And then based off of that, we built the foundation for what we have now for our Beacon maintenance program. And then every state has different intervals. So there are different DOT compliance in New York as there is in Massachusetts. There's 7D laws for type 3 vans in New England. There's different state inspections in Pennsylvania, so on and so forth. And based off of that, we basically came up with a standardized platform that we all agreed upon. And there's minor tweaks along that. But then we created a training program, and then we started training people how to do PMs and inspections the Beacon way. That doesn't mean that it's better than everybody else. It's just how we view what we want to make sure we're inspecting on a vehicle. And then we created standardized checklists that are vehicle specific. So for a type C, a type A, a type 3 van, a paratransit vehicle, and then we train to that. And our philosophy was we want to make sure that if you go from one garage to another, everybody does it the same and everybody's doing it the same way. So throughout our training program, we have trainers, and if you've been in fleet for 20 years or you're new to Beacon, we're going to train you how to do a PM and inspection our way. And we found that that's created more efficiencies. One of the cool things about this, Tony, is a couple winters ago during a snowstorm, we brought some folks in and we measured the way that they were doing a PM from the time they went out onto the incoming line to they brought it in the shop, what they did when the bus was on the ground, what they did when the bus was up in the air, and how many times they were walking to the parts room, where they had to go to get their oil, where did they had to go to get their tools. And out of that, we created a more streamlined checklist, right? And we placed PM parts closer to the vehicle, and that minimized that trip to the parts room. It minimized how many times they had to walk around a vehicle. And so what we created was a more efficient PM, if you will. And again, that's not earth shattering, Tony. That's just like, really, it's not. It's less, we believe that, for us to be really good, we have to do the basics really good. And it started with that PM and inspection process.
That's what I was thinking, like back to the basics, right?
Yeah.
First thing you do. Now let's talk about the technology you're implementing too, right? Because you're doing some very progressive things, leveraging technology. multiple kind of platforms to kind of achieve some of these efficiencies. Do you want to share a little more about that, kind of your vision for that?
Yeah, so we're really proud of what we're doing, Tony. So we're using a product called FleetWave from a company called Chev & Fleet Solutions. They're a UK-based company. Their headquarters is actually in Massachusetts. I've had previous experiences in a previous role. But FleetWave is our source of truth for everything from, how we manage our assets, how we manage our maintenance, our central inventory, warranty, fleet replacement modeling, fuel management, all of that. But, from a maintenance perspective, that's what we're managing. And so what we're doing that I believe is different from anyone else is we're trying to empower everybody at the lowest possible level. So we're handing every technician a tablet. And from that tablet, they can do their work orders. They can look at work history. They can order parts. They can see what's on inventory. They also can get access to the connected vehicle or vehicle health. So what we've done is we've networked all our vehicles, right? And we feed those diagnostic trouble codes or that vehicle health into FleetWave, and it gives that technician access to that information. So when you pull that bus or that van in, you can say, oh, this is, it's had low voltage. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to make sure I look at the charging system. Or, hey, it's had some spike in the cooling system, or it's been shooting off some transmission codes. This gives the technician some insight into the real health of that vehicle, and it gives them better access to making sure that when they inspect that vehicle, they're looking at everything, and it prevents that breakdown after it leaves the shop.
Now, you talked about also using like Google Glass to do training.
Yeah.
What does that kind of entail?
So we're using, and we're not using Google Glasses, but we're using a similar product. So we're getting ready to launch a pilot called the Technical Assistance Center. We're going to start in New England and New York. And what this is it'll be remote advanced technicians, technicians that have real good diagnostic capabilities. And what they'll do is they'll have the ability to remote support through the use of smart technologies, through these glasses, where they can see, hear, and even look at what the technician sees on a diagnostic platform, so they can help troubleshoot. So the goal is, one of the areas that we struggle with in Beacon is diagnostics, right? A vehicle comes in, it has a check engine light, it might be a regeneration problem, it might be a fuel problem. What this is doing is this is allowing us to help speed up that diagnostic process. And what's great about this, Tony, is it doesn't matter where you are, where we are, we can remote in and help you in real time. But then we record that session, and then we make that available to other technicians. So now you can see a catalog of, hey, we had a D-rate problem, and this is how we figured it out. Or, hey, we had an electrical short and we found it in the pin and one of the pins in the bus. This is how we've repaired that, and they can see that. And the beauty of it is it helps this technician walk through a step 1, step 2, step 3, and we're not missing a step in the diagnostic process. And this has really helped us with our turnaround time, fleet availability, and our reliability.
Yeah, uptime's super important these days. Everybody talks about uptime. Now, let's just talk a little more about the differences between, say, AI and more of a predictive maintenance kind of vibe where people really at STN EXPO, we were asking them these questions, and I'm not sure they see the differences. Can you share on a maintenance standpoint what kind of differences you see?
Yeah, so our tool does both. Our tool has some AI tool built into it, and it also has some predictive tool. So to me, think of AI like machine learning. It learns on its own. It pulls and generates a product on its own. So it's taking inputs, let's say, from vehicle health, vehicle history on its own, and it's learning from that, and it's putting out an output on its own. So a vehicle gets flagged for a defect. The system looks and says, hey, we've seen this before, and here's some steps to address that. Predictive analysis is usually kind of driven by an analyst or someone that goes in, and it's looking at that same vehicle health, but it's looking at vehicle history, and it helps generate kind of, hey, this is what it might be, right? And it's helping you kind of predict in advance. And we're using both of those technologies. So a good example is we're seeing trends on when brake lines fail or when belts fail, and we're incorporating those types of repairs into our preventive maintenance inspections to be more proactive and prevent that breakdown from happening. So again, in the ideal world, I want a vehicle to come in for inspection. I want to make sure I'm looking at all of those things. I'm replacing what I need to replace when it comes in, and I don't want to see it again until it has to come back in for its next inspection. That's nirvana in the maintenance world, right? So these tools help us do that job. And again, it sounds easy, Tony, but it's not. It requires technicians to make sure that they're logging tasks properly, documenting, making sure parts get action, and what that allows us to do is become more efficient as an organization. And we're including everybody in those discussions so they can see it. And I think that's what makes us great at Beacon is that the collaborative approach we're doing, we're putting people first, right? And we're giving them the tools to help them be successful. And they love it.
Yeah, so making informed decisions is really important. And then workforce management, workforce training. We definitely heard a lot about that at STN EXPO this last week. And it's a big kind of discussion point for many people. One thing I was curious about is how is the maintenance onboarding? Because one of the things Mr. Ryan Gray had asked to many people was everyone talks about driver shortages, but mechanic shortages are a really big issue, finding qualified people to do the job. How are you seeing the market in the areas you're in? And you said 23 states, was that right?
It's real. It's often understated because we're in the school bus industry, so driving is our business, right? But it's often understated the challenges that we're having on the technician side of the house. It is a very real, not only recruiting but retaining. We're losing a ton of talent, right? So part of what we're building is not only a recruitment tool, but it's a retainment tool. So when we set out with our training program, we literally started with one trainer. We have 3 now, and we're growing that program. And it's a regionalized approach. I have one in the Midwest, one in New York, one in New England, and it's a regionalized approach. And our focus is, okay, when we do recruit somebody, whether they're an apprentice technician or a new technician and they're coming on board, let's make sure we get them off on the right foot. We don't want to just say, hey, great, we got another technician here. We need you to fix buses. Yeah, I want that, but I want to make sure you're successful in that. So when you come on board, we're going to partner you up with a trainer. We're going to partner you up with somebody within your team. You're going to feel like you're part of the team. We're going to go through PM training. We're going to go through fleet wave training. We're going to roll you through. You're going to understand all of that. So we're setting you up for success. But you talked about technology, you talked about training. All of this matters because the technology on vehicles is advancing so fast, and we're incorporating that with the EV piece, Tony, right? We did our 10 bus pilot last year. We learned a ton from that, right? And part of the recruiting tools that we're using is, hey, we're buying these advanced technology vehicles and we have the tools to make sure we can repair them. And we're going to train you, whether it's through Thomas, whether it's through Bluebird, and make sure that we're training our technicians. And that's part of that training program. And then that technology piece too as well. Hey, we've got the tools to help fix them. So I think that's a huge part, Tony.
Can you expand on the green side of your business? Obviously, you just touched on an electric pilot you're doing, and obviously through acquisition, you might be acquiring fleets that have some green buses in there. You want to give us a sense of what kind of that mix looks like and how you're seeing maybe the future of Beacon Mobility. I know in the Northeast, in Boston specifically, which I think you operate in, the city made a pretty bold statement of, they want to be all electric, and they gave an aggressive timeline to do that. I'm not sure, as we heard at STN EXPO, if those timelines are really realistic. It's more posturing, but we do see the movement towards electrification, towards green. Obviously, GHG 3 came out, so we've got regulatory push and pull. So there's a lot happening in that space. You want to?
Yeah, no, Tony, you're right. And it's happening so fast, right? But even with Clean School Bus, you think about with all the school bus, with the money that Clean School Bus is putting out there, that would only replace like 2% of the national school bus fleet, right? So it is going to be dependent. You look at like New York, you look at what other states are doing with some of their aggressive timelines. It's going to require states to put in some money too as well. At Beacon, look, we take our commitment to environmental very, very seriously. Our goal is we'd love to be able to electrify 2/3 of our fleet over the next 10 years. And last year we said, actually it started almost like 2 years ago. We knew that we needed to start kind of getting ahead of it and getting the data and starting to learn about it. So we took the step, we invested in, we started with a 10 bus pilot. We aggressively put a matrix together. We analyzed all the OEMs and all the manufacturers that had it. And we ultimately decided on Thomas for that 10 bus pilot. And we've learned a lot, right? I would tell you that Uptime on some of these buses has been a challenge. We've replaced a couple batteries, layout. We have stacked parking. The placement of the dispensers was a big deal. But we did it in a collaborative process. We involved our operations people. We involved our first responders locally. We involved our school districts. And now, we've seen success, and we've got a lot of good data for that. That approach through that pilot helped us as we guided our way with the first round of Clean School Bus. And we applied for in a couple different locations, Lawrence, Massachusetts, and Las Cruces, New Mexico. And we were very fortunate to get money in both. And so for Lawrence, we were able to get 25 school buses there. That project is well underway. We're working with National Grid. We're working with our engineering firm to help us kind of start building out that phase that. But we also applied for a Mass CDC grant that gave us an additional few $1 million that we're replacing into some 10 Type A buses. So by next year, we're going to have 35 EV buses in Lawrence, supporting Lawrence, Massachusetts, and we're going to have 5 down in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And we're working on building out what that next phases look like for this new competitive phase. We're working on a project with that, and we're getting ready for the third phase of the rebate program. But we're evaluating where it makes sense, right, Tony? Because there's two parts of it, right? We want to make sure it makes operational sense, and we want to make sure that it makes financial sense. So we're not just going to do EV for the sake of doing EV and meeting a mandate. We want to make sure that we're doing it smartly, and we are. We're looking in New York. We're looking in New England. We're looking in the Chicago area, and we're taking a very data-focused approach. We've got an engineering firm on board helping us, and we're building out our team. We're getting ready to fill a director of EV for us, and that's really going to help us kind of really start to pull everything together as we start to grow this program. We're really excited about what it's doing for Beacon.
So school startup is upon you. I'm sure it's coming from all directions, and want to be sure you guys are moving it ahead, because everybody's kind of in the same boat, rowing down the same stream, and the water speed is only going to start increasing rapidly.
What's school startup, Tony? Thanks. We've got 3 really big startups in Davenport and in Davenport, Iowa, up in Minneapolis with Minnesota Public Schools. We've got one in New York. And these are really big, 50, 90, 70 bus, startups, along with regular school startup. For us, where, it doesn't end, the school year ended for some in May and June. With maintenance, we're still going. We're prepping new vehicles. We're cascading vehicles to new locations. We're making sure that we have everything in place. We're prepping and going, and it's all hands on deck for us right now. For us, our first school startup, I think, is going to be the second week of August, and that will run straight through the third week of September. And Tony, look, I'm very honored to have received that award, and I think it speaks to what we're doing as a team here at Beacon. But at the end of the day, I've got over 400 folks that work in the fleet and maintenance team, and they're the people that make it happen. And they're the folks that are going to make sure that we have an awesome school startup and that we got all those buses rolling. So at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, team. It's a great operations and maintenance team working together to make sure we deliver.
Well, we wish you a successful school startup and congratulate your team. It's there's no I in team, as the article says, right? Yeah. And you're not shy to share how others in the organization make it great, and really appreciate Judith Crawford, your CEO, as well. We've talked a bunch, and I know she said she's committed to growing and helping the industry and bringing the Beacon team into a bigger play as STN's partner as well. And we really look forward to growing that with you guys and helping the industry learn more about all the innovative things Beacon Mobility is doing. And we want to be sure that the technology that you're using is a really a great example for others. And we really appreciate you sharing and being so open about all the great things you're doing.
Oh, no, Tony, I appreciate it. Like you said, Beacon, we have great values. We care, we collaborate, we do the right thing, we have fun. It's great to be part of an organization that kind of lives and breathes and really takes those values seriously. So thank you for having me on here. Thanks for allowing me to kind of share some of the things that we're doing here at Beacon.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
Special congratulations again to Bill Griffiths, and thank you for coming on the podcast, winning that Innovator of the Year 2023 award. Really appreciate all your insights today. Mr. Ryan Gray, STN team, thanks for all your hard work. STN Expo, great success. Really appreciate everyone making a great event come together. Also appreciate our podcast sponsors, TransFinder, BYD Ride, and School Radio. Guys, we've said it a few times, stnonline.com for all the coverage on STN Expo, everything happening, all the news, school transportation industry. We've got you covered, friends. Make sure you join us every week on the podcast. Tell your friends, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to pods. Nation, we love you. We'll see you next week.